Hey guys, Bugcat7 here. Okay, it is Sunday, November 10th, 2019, and I want to thank you for visiting the Stonewall Research channel here on YouTube. Thank you very much. I really do appreciate it. All right, guys, well, I got to go through this quick because there's a lot of stuff to cover here, but I wanted to talk about the lost military units of Grand Tartaria or Great Tartary, whatever you want to call it. Okay, and we'll continue with the Giants. I've been reading the Giants and George, just mind blowing stuff, and I got to go over it again, but we'll get to it. But I wanted to go through this again because I was thinking about it, and I got into it a little bit with my video on Chinese Tartary. Okay, and you can see in this video here, all right, this is a map from a textbook from compulsory school in the United States in 1850s, early 1850s. Okay, so they were teaching about Chinese Tartary and how it was a confederation of the two Asian tribes and a Turkic tribe. Okay, that basically was what Chinese Tartary was, okay? And it was called Manchuria by the Japanese when they were taking over the collapsing Tartarian Empire, okay? And, you know, it's whether you believe it was more advanced technically or technologically or not, that's a different question. I'm just going by what we can see, okay? So it's obviously a real place. He's a page with all sorts of detailed maps and everything else, but he's sort of a general map, an older map that shows the territory of Grand Tartary here. And you can see up here, it's in Siberia and down even into Korea here. And this is what China was, goes all the way to the Black Sea and the Caspian Sea, okay? And there's Europe over there. So this is a very old map. And you can tell the evolution of an empire or any country or anything by the maps over a period of time. And you can see the territory is shrinking to almost where it's non-existent. So you can see in this later map, okay, from 1806, all right, this map shows independent Tartary in yellow and Chinese Tartary in violet. Okay, so here's what's left by 1806 of independent Tartary. Okay, and then this is all Chinese Tartary in here. Still tremendous. This territory is like just so vast, it's unbelievable. Okay, and that's just Chinese Tartary. When we get back to the other map, you look at this territory here. Well, look, folks, it's just a simple History 101 lesson, okay? So you have these borders that you have to defend, okay? So in order to defend these borders, you're going to need a professional military. You're going to need a professional army of conscripts from people all over this place, okay? And it just so happens that these places are all the steppe areas, okay, that they're talking about when they talk about where these people come from in the histories, all right? So they don't know exactly where these people come from. They don't even know where the Indo-European people come from. But let me read to you a little bit. I can't go through all this stuff because it's just so much stuff here. You're going to have to look into a lot of it yourself if you want to know more about it. But I'll read a little bit to you about these peoples, and you make up your own mind. But we're going to talk about it a little because it's obvious that that's who these people are. The Eurasian Nomads were a large group, and this is a bullshit, Eurasian Nomads, you know, again, there's no reference to Tartary or any, these where these people came from, and if that was a real place for a very long, long time, then something should be said about it, but nothing is said in these articles, because it's all a psyop. Okay, they call them Eurasian Nomads or horse people or whatever it is, and, you know, apparently these people were not given enough credit for everything they contributed to this world. Okay, the generic, look, it says, who often appear in history as invaders. Okay, Eurasian steppe. We're a large group of nomadic peoples from Eurasian steppe who often appear in history as invaders of Europe, South Asia, the Middle East, and China. The generic title encompasses the varied ethnic groups who have at times inhabited the steppes of Central Asia, Mongolia, and what is now Russia. They domesticated the horse around 3500 BC, vastly increasing the possibilities of nomadic life. And subsequently, their economy and culture emphasized horse breeding, horse riding, and nomadic pastoralism. This usually involved trading with settled peoples around the steppe edges. They developed the chariot, wagon, cavalry, and horse archery, and introduced innovations such as the bridle, bit, and stirrup. And the very rapid rate at which innovations crossed the steppe land spread these widely to be copied by settled peoples bordering the steppes. During the Iron Age, Scythian cultures emerged during the Eurasian Nomads, which was characterized by a distinct Scythian art. Okay, so this is what they say, okay, because they're trying to explain it in their own way, avoiding a lot of facts about these things, like, but it talks about Scythia. This is the territory of Scythia, well within the territory of Grand Tartary and everything, but it all coalesces when you learn more about these horse people, okay? So we're basically Turkic peoples, okay? And they say about that, okay, with the Kurgans and the Cossacks, okay? They name all these people, the Kalmuks, the Cossacks, okay, the Kyrgyz, okay? These are all Turkic peoples, all right? And it tells about a little bit about their exploits here or whatever. During the Tang Dynasty, Turks would cross the Yellow River when it was frozen to raid China. Contemporary Tang sources noted the superiority of Turkic horses. Okay, wrote that the horses, Emperor Taizong wrote that the horses were exceptionally superior to ordinary horses. Okay, so they had superior horses, okay, as well as superior skills on those horses, okay. Let's read down here. I'm skipping over a lot of this stuff because you just can't get to everything, but the concept of horse people, quote unquote, was of some importance in 19th century scholarship in connection with the rediscovery of Germanic pagan culture by Romanticism, see Viking revival, which idealized the Goths in particular as heroic horse people. J.R.R. Tolkien's Rohirrim may be seen as an idealized Germanic people influenced by these romantic notions. Tolkien's Wayne Riders of Eastern Rune recall ancient steppe peoples like the Scythians. Similarly, George R.R. Martin's nomadic Dothraki people are heavily influenced by the lifestyles and cultures of historic horse people. Nomadism persists in the steppe lands, though it has generally been disapproved by modern regimes who have often discouraged it with varying degrees of coercion. Okay, so just whatever remnants are left of these people living in the steppes and everything, they're constantly harassed and tortured and everything else, just the attempts to get rid of them, and then the rest of them have been absorbed into European cultures, okay? And who are the Turkic peoples and where do they come from? Let's take a look at this map. Okay, I showed it in my other video too. So here's where Turkic people are. Okay, you notice that they're up here, okay, in the vast areas of Siberia. All right, and they're also around here and everything. There's something very interesting about that when we talk about the Cossacks and the Magyars, specifically the Magyars. But we're going to look at that in a second here. Let me try to get through this for you. But you can see where these people, and I mean, if you just sort of drew lines from here to here and up around, here's our map of Grand Tartary, right? Okay, so where did these horse people come from? Well, they come from Great Tartary. Duh. Okay, that's what's being kept from us for some reason. We don't know why, but I'm trying to get to it for you. All right, let's take a look at the Cossacks here. Okay, so where the Turkic peoples come from. So let's take a look in here before we even get into it. Here's a Siberian Cossack. Okay, My great-grandmother's second husband was a Cossack. Grandpa Joe is a picture of him on a horse dressed like this with his sword drawn, a big curved saber. I wonder how many people that guy killed. A bunch, I bet. All right, so let me just read a little bit about the Cossacks here because their origins, as well as Indo-European peoples and everything, it's just a mystery to mainstream. I hate to tell you that, but they don't know where they came from exactly. But the Magyars is a clue. Cossacks are a group of predominantly East Slavic speaking people who became known as members of democratic, self governing, semi military communities, predominantly located in southern Russia in the steppes of Russia, as well as in eastern and southern Ukraine with the borders of the Polish Lithuanian Commonwealth. They inhabited sparsely populated areas and islands, which I find very interesting because a lot of our large hominid giants, quote unquote giants in the Americas, okay, seems to be a lot of their mounds built on these islands where rivers intersect. Similarly, in the lower Dnieper, Don, Terek, and Ural River basins, and played an important role in the historical and cultural development of both Ukraine and Russia and many other places, including, not just the Cossacks, the Magyars. I'm just saying these horse people played an essential role in the development of all of Europe and Asia. The origins of the Cossacks are disputed, though the 1710 Constitution of Pilot Orlik attests to the combination of East Slavic and Khazar origin. The emergence of the Cossacks is dated to the 14th to the 15th century, and as I had mentioned, I think, was that you can tell by the maps, okay, how Tartary is doing. Okay, so this last vestige of independent Tartary was here. It's all taken over by Russia in 1806. All right, so these Cossacks popped up out of nowhere in the 14th and 15th centuries when two connected groups emerged as the Zaporozhian Sikh of the Dnieper and the Don Cossack host. Okay, so they're explaining some of the histories of these people, but again, the origins are disputed. They don't know. They don't know, and they don't want to say because it's just part of the psyop, guys. Okay, I want to go down here to the etymology. Max Vassmer's etymological dictionary traces the name to the Old East Slavic word Kozak, a loan word from Kuman in which Cossack meant free man from Turkic languages. The ethnonym Kazakh is from the same Turkic root. Okay, in modern Turkish it is pronounced as Kazakh. In written sources, the name is first attested in the Codex Cumanicus from the 13th century. In English, Cossack is first attested in 1590. Okay, so when you got a big professional military and your country starts to erode, okay, where do they go? Okay, they're diaspora. They're wandering from here to there and maybe taking places by force. Okay, I didn't get into this, but they showed in the Eurasian Nomads, or the horse people here, this is a list of them in the various ages, and you'll notice in here the Magyars, the Cossacks, which is, they say is just a phone, not really. Tartars in there, okay? So these are the horse people, folks. The Cossacks are also the horse people. Maybe they were like the trained special forces unit for Grand Tartary, okay? Maybe the Cossacks were, okay? But you have other military type units within the ranks of the military of Grand Tartary, and now the Russian Confederation, okay, because they were absorbed in there, just it seemed natural. Okay, but they were the enemies of the Russians for a long time. Okay, you can see one of the fellas here in his dress. Okay, his saber there. Okay, So I'm not going over all their history here and everything. I just wanted to show you some of the threads that these people were wearing. Okay, these are more modern times, but I want to show you the traditional stuff, which it just screams Grand Tartary. Look at this guy here. Look at how he's dressed. Okay. I wonder if I was to have some threads made like that, how much it would cost me. Now I'm paying, what, $5-10 for t-shirts at Walmart that you wear 3 times, and then you wash them 3 times and they're garbage after that. Look at what this guy's wearing here. Look at those boots too. Okay, cowboy boots, as you notice. Okay, the first cowboys. These are the first cowboys. Long before American cowboys. These are the first cowboys. Look how that guy. What would that cost me? Like $2,000? $1,000 for them to make me up some threads like that today? They're just doing it in the woods over there. Okay. And let's take a look at some more interesting picture of some of their traditional clothing and haircuts. See that guy? He's playing this bandura instrument here. Look at his haircut. He'd go right in with the Mohicans up here in New York State. Fit right in with them with a haircut like that. He's a Cossack guy. Alright, so let's take a look at the Magyars. Again, guys, I'm sorry, I gotta go through this quick. Okay. The Magyar tribes or Hungarian clans were the fundamental political units within whose framework the Hungarians, Magyars, lived until these clans from the region of the Ural Mountains invaded the Carpathian Basin and established the Principality of Hungary. Okay, so the ethnonym of the Hungarian tribal alliance is uncertain. According to one view, following Anonymous's description of the federation was called Hedemager, 7 Magyars, Principals Person ki Hedemager de Kunter, 7 princely persons who are called 7 Magyars, though the word Magyar possibly comes from the name of the most prominent Hungarian tribe called Magyar. The tribal name Magyar became Magyar, referring to the Hungarian people as a whole. Written sources called Magyars Hungarians before the conquest of the Carpathian Basin, when they still lived on the steppes of Eastern Europe. In 1837, Hungary mentioned by George Monachus. In 1862, Hungary by Annals Bertiniani. In 1881, Hungary by the Annals ex Annibus Ubivincibus. The English term Hungarian is a derivative of the Latin Hungary or Hungary forms. Okay, so let's take a look at some of these guys, how they're dressed. Get the focus. Look at that. Okay, showed this in my other video there on Chinese Tartary when I was talking about these guys. Just added that in, but I wanted to go over it. But check these guys out. Alright, see how they're dressed? These knights, these are the 7, Uberies there. Okay. Look pretty fierce. And from what I understand, I knew about the history of the Magyars a long time ago. One of my teachers was named Mr. Magyar, and he told me all about it when he found out I was Hungarian. And apparently the Huns were deathly afraid of the Magyars. So put it that way. You know how fierce the Huns were, right? So they were afraid of the Magyars. Okay. So the same way they emerged from and all that, just forget about all that. So they're full of crap, okay? So let's look at the genetics here, because the genetics tell us a whole bunch, Okay, so let's look at this. Look, it says the Hungarian social structure was of Turkic origin. Turkic origin. You know where all of these people live? The Turkic tribes. All lived in there, including Manchuria in China, where a Turkic tribe was in a confederation and formed Chinese Tartaria. All right? Let's read about the DNA, okay, because that's an important part of the story. Magyars comprised 7 clans and later 3 more clans made of Kabar people. Recent genetic research has shown that the first generation Magyar core gene pool originated in Central Asia, South Siberia. And as Magyars were moving westward, admixing with additional strata of people of European origin and people of the Caucasus, okay? Burial samples of the Karos Espazhag Magyars place them genetically closest to Turkic peoples, modern South Caucasian peoples, and modern Western Europeans to a limited degree, while no specific Finno-Ugric markers are found. However, a 2008 study done on 10th century Magyar skeletons indeed found a few Uralic samples. Okay, so who knows about that? All right, but they don't know exactly or whatever, but apparently the DNA is putting them in South Siberia, okay, somewhere in here. Okay, no mention in these articles about Cossacks and the Magyars, about Grand Tartary or Great Tartary, which I find very curious. Okay, and I'm telling you, who would be the professional military of Great Tartary, of Grand Tartary? Who would be? Okay, except these horse peoples. The horse peoples. Okay, professional horse soldiers. Okay, long before any of these people had professional armies. Before all the places, you know, they might have had knights or whatever it is, these people rode over those people like they were standing still. Okay? That's how professional military they were. Okay? And here's some videos you can still see Cossack troops that performed their sword play and martial arts and horse skills as well. Okay, now they're incorporated into the Russian army like they've been for hundreds of years now. That's just part of but they're originally the enemies of the Russians. Okay, some girl with a sword. Hate to get near her. And you watch these guys move those swords in the demonstrations they give. Okay, there's a guy spear throwing there. Okay, these are serious guys. Look. They're not fooling around. And hearing them doing horse tricks. Okay, on BBC News there. All right? The first cowboys, the Magyars, they're the first cowboys. Okay? These Hungarian horsemen predated the American cowboy. And these are the Magyar people. Okay? When the Huns saw these guys coming, they started going in the other direction. Okay? All right, so Magyar horsemen, okay? The professional lost military units of Grand Tartary, folks. I'm just telling you. All the addition is there. Okay, you want to know where the last vestiges of the professional military of Grand Tartary went? Well, the Cossacks and Magyars were 2 of them, but all of these might be of the Eurasian Nomads, or many of them, okay? Horse people. All right? Okay, so you want to know where they went to? They went various places and influenced to a tremendous extent the cultures of Europe and Asia, and especially everything they developed about the horse. Okay? They developed the chariot, wagon, cavalry, horse archery, the bit, the stirrup, the bridle, okay? Real important people, okay, came from Great Tartary, or at least were a part of it. You know it. All right? Bugcat7 says so. All right, folks. Well, anyway, I hope you enjoyed that presentation. Please hit the like button. And Bugcat7 signing out. Peace.